Hey guys, it's time for another kicking of the week, and during this episode I will finish the Euphoric kick that we've been working on. And something went wrong when I tried to record this earlier, and as you see I made the kick and it's finished now. There's way more layers, but the recording just didn't work. So I'm just gonna strip this again and we're just gonna make new layers, and we're gonna finish this kick together on camera. So what I've done right now, as you can see, I've duplicated the layers and just took out all the effects from there. As you see, there's lots of stuff going on, but we stripped that away and we're just gonna do all the work again together. So at the end of the last tutorial, we made this heavy bass layer, and that just really started to carry that character that we had. And it really works out nicely, but I felt like it had some more, I had too much bass. So we're just gonna do all the faders again. As you see right here, they're still at their normal point. I'm just gonna put them down, and we're just gonna put the faders a little bit in balance. And the only thing that I really can't show is how I use the slider again to get the kick in phase and get it to sound right. Maybe we'll play a little bit with it, but we're not sure yet. So of course we have our punch here, and what I do remember is that I cut this quite short, and I did this because the end of this punch, it has that sub and the beginning of a till, and we kind of don't need that. I just want to have that little snappy sound that the punch has. So I cut that off, and then I put the till right behind there, so we got a nice flow from punch to till. As you also can notice sometimes with these more standard, more traditional euphoric kicks, that the punch isn't really too emphasized and too big. Then we have the till, and let's put the faders in balance for that. So we have this character, and we have this one, and then we have the sub layer, and now let's balance them out. Let's see if they're in phase for now. There's a tiny bit off in this one, as you can see. So we're gonna move this a little bit and get it in phase again. And when we get it in phase, it will sound better, and then we can do the volume. So just this tiny slide will really help. And now it sounds like it's supporting that character correctly. Okay, and now let's balance this with the punch that we have. And the main work that we're gonna do is actually focusing on that punch, because now it's still a hollow and boring serum sound that we've made, and we're gonna add some layers into there to get some more natural sound, just a more full sound as well. Okay, so let's try to get some body into that punch. And I used a snare layer before when I was recording, so I'm gonna get the same snare layer, and I'm just gonna play around with it again, because I know the snare sample will work, but I'm not even sure yet how to process the sample so that it will really fit with that punch. So let's put this on a new channel, make it unique. Yes, and let's make sure that it has its own new channel. And let's just play around with this and see how we can get this to fit with our punch. When you add some extra Foley sound, like a snare, I like to cut off the tail a little bit from that snare, so that you do focus on the punch instead of the whole whoosh sound behind the snare. Okay, so this is the sound of the snare. And I'm gonna try and play a little bit with the tone of it and a little bit of the pogo to get it back in, or a little bit better fitting with that punch. And well, I had this still on here, so I'm just gonna put this back to +1. And if you listen carefully, this already kind of sounds like it's the same tone. It's the same tone over there. And now let's try play a little bit with the pogo and see if we can make it fit fully with this punch. I think this can work, yeah. And what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna distort this and EQ this so we get some a fatter sound and a cooler sound out of there that will still fit our punch. Let's use another distortion. And I'm just quickly gonna check if everything's working correctly. And let's blast it open. I think this can give some more body to our punch. Let's see. Maybe we need to play a little bit with this bells that we got over here in the midsection, because if you boost that wrong frequency again, it's just gonna sound off with the punch. So maybe we're gonna move this up a little bit, down a little bit, see where it fits. Yeah, feel this resonances sound in tone with our punch, and now I'm just gonna take this away and put this sample in there. And let's make this fit nicely with the punch again. Shouldn't be too much work now. So you hear when this high end of the punch layer kicks in, then it really takes away the emphasis on the snap of the punch. So I'm just gonna move the end of the sample around a little bit to see where it's just fitting nice enough, like it doesn't give too much high end in our punch. You hear how, do you hear it, how you can just take such a small sound and make sure that it's in tone with your punch, and it just adds some more depth. When you play it without this sound, it's just sounding hollow, just one sample, and just this tiny snap of this distorted snare just creates some extra depth in there. So this sounds nice right now. And what I did over here was I took one of the clicks from the metronome in FL Studio. So let's try that. And yeah, make it a little bit more snappy. As you'll hear, the metronome really sounds snappy already, and that's just gonna help us give some more snap to our punch as well. So put the metronome on and make it play. So it only plays two different sounds, the one on the first count and the second count. And I feel this second one sounds a little bit better for our punch. That's just entirely feeling based. You can use the first one as well, and of course we're gonna distort this so you don't really hear that it's a metronome sound. So let's put it in there, and let's really give this the right tone that it's gonna make our punch snap really nicely. And of course you can put the samples back in there and listen for the tone if it sounds pure enough. Yeah, I feel this basic boost over here sounds nice. Let's just turn this down a little bit and maybe give it a little spike. And this extra spike is just gonna make the punch, the snap, really sit in the right spot. So you can really take some time with this and make sure that it fits perfectly. Yes, and let's maybe take away some of the rubbish we don't need, the other frequencies. So right now we got this sound, and that's sounding really snappy, and that's what we want. Now we're gonna distort it some more, and try to focus as much on only that initial snap of that sound. And of course, when it bleeps a little bit too much, you can still turn it down if you want. We already know that the frequencies are boosted in the right spot, so we don't need to play with the frequency anymore. We just need to find the right boost for that frequency to keep a nice snap. Let's boost this a little bit. Just a tiny bit. Gives a little bit more body because the frequency gets a little bit more distorted as we push it some more in our EQ. And let's maybe turn this down. So you hear how this just really turned into a quite nice and snappy sound. That's what you kind of want. You can even choose something else than the metronome sound, but just really focus on that initial sound on there. And I like using this Essentials kick from Kashmir, and yeah, it just gives it a little bit more high frequencies, and the transient is just gonna boost that transient a little bit more. Let's maybe give it a little bit more of an EQ before this. Boosting some of the right frequencies that we need. And I'm just gonna turn this down a tiny bit and we'll export this, and this will just give some more snap to our punch. And we might even, because we don't need the resonance or the remainder of the distortion what it created, we're just gonna take that away, so we really only have that little snap that we were creating. So let's get our punch layers in there. Let's get this one in there as well. And I think I'm gonna turn everything down like I sometimes do with my leads as well, and then just rebalance everything and yeah, make sure that it fits. Let's turn this one off so I know I don't need to use it. And let's balance this out. I feel this one could fit a tiny bit better, maybe if we play a little bit with the pogo. Yeah, you can mix it in quite boldly, you know. You don't need to put it down too much. I sometimes tend to do that I make a good sound that's supporting another layer, and I just keep the volume too low. So always try to get it in the right spot, and sometimes you need to put sounds a little bit more boldly up front in the mix for this punch to really make it have a change. So this way this really sounds more up front, more noticeable. And it was this tiny change that really, in my opinion, makes this extra layer just glued together with our punch. But let's not forget the other layer that we made. And I often still need to practice listening for something this tiny, tiny amount of detail, because it's a really small transient. You don't want you want it to sit in the sound correctly, but if you put it up too much, it's just gonna ruin your sound design. So it's just a thing you really need to be careful for when you want to listen to this, and just put this in the right spot. So we're just going to take a little while for this and make sure that this is fitting in the right spot. Let's turn this down a little bit so I can hear this more nicely on my headphones. Of course, when you put volume too loud, you don't really hear details anymore. So I just turn down the volume a little bit and just check if it's right now. And as you can see, really just turning down the volume a little bit just makes you hear it with more patience and care for your sound. And when it's too loud, as you hear, I thought it sounded nice when the fader was up here. And in the end, we can turn it down quite a lot so we can get some more, just a better sound out of our punch. So let's just keep it here. For now it sounds right, and yeah, just see where the punch goes. Maybe we can group these in a bus and maybe distort it a little bit, see what that does, and maybe shape the punch a little bit more, get it a little bit more fat. So this is just a little change, but it sounds nice. Let's see what the effects really do. So yeah, we give it a little bit more mids with that bell over here, maybe a little bit too much. Like this is just a bit better, and now let's balance it out with some extra EQ after it. And maybe we hear a little bit too much white noise, so let's tiny details are important when you want to make your own sounds like kicks, and hear how this just changes from a sound with a little bit too much of an annoying high-end hiss to a better punch. So this is what we had, and then taking that away, it's just so much more nice to listen to. And also, because that annoying hiss is gone, we can maybe boost the highs a little bit more without making the highs a little bit less unclear, like the noise from the snare was doing. So this is, I think, almost done. We might get another serum layer involved when we play the tail behind this and the tail doesn't really fit, or maybe we get a tail layer in there, and yeah, I think this is a lot better for our punch. So we started off with this only, and now we worked our way up till this. Hey guys, I'm just editing this video, and as you can see, we're already at like 22 minutes, and we have even more than half left of this video. And I thought, for the amount of detail and information that we need to put into this kick, I'm gonna cut the video halfway over here, and I'm gonna upload the rest next Wednesday. So you can really just take some more time practicing what we're doing right here and listening for the changes that I'm making. And Wednesday I'm gonna upload the rest of the kick, where we're gonna be focusing more on the tail and finishing that punch and the tail, how they glue together. I hope this first half of the video already helped you out and you learned a lot from it. And just wait till next Wednesday and I'm gonna upload the video then. So thank you for watching, and see you this Wednesday on the second half of this video. Cheers!